As you have seen, the Doppler ultrasound is easy to use and identifies correctly non-pregnant cows. To implement this tool on a dairy farm, you should take into account the schedule to do the diagnoses, the necessity to confirm pregnancies, and the actions you will take after non-pregnancy diagnoses. The purchase of the ultrasound will not be discussed in this course, but the advices given in this section will allow you to identify which clients can benefit from the use of this tool and if such an investment could be cost-effective for your business. The first consideration for implementing the use of the Doppler ultrasound on a farm is the moment at which the diagnosis must be done. The diagnosis must be done between day 18 and 22 post-insemination to correctly identify non-pregnant cows. But what happens if the diagnosis is made at day 14, 15, 16, or even at day 24, 25, or 26? If the diagnosis is made outside of the short follicular phase, you increase the number of cows falsely identified as potentially pregnant. This is, in itself, not as bad as falsely identifying non-pregnant cows, but you would lose the advantage you are seeking with the Doppler ultrasound to diagnose non-pregnancy earlier than with traditional methods. If you do your herd health visit every 2 weeks on a farm, on every given visit, inseminated cows between 1 and 43 days post-insemination would have an unknown pregnancy status. This is true if you diagnose pregnancies starting at day 30 post-insemination, because cows that were at day 29 during the visit 2 weeks ago are at day 43 today. The short window of time during which you can use the Doppler ultrasound implies that you could only use it for less than 10% of the cows with an unknown pregnancy status, unless you are visiting the farm every other day. Or if the inseminations are at fixed time, 21 days before your visits. Using synchronization protocols are indeed almost necessary to implement the use of the Doppler ultrasound effectively in a herd. The second consideration is due to the low pregnancy predictive value of the Doppler ultrasound. As mentioned earlier, more than half of the cows identified as potentially pregnant with the Doppler ultrasound are not in fact pregnant. It is consequently essential to plan the confirmation of pregnancy at the next visit. The first confirmation of pregnancy should be done at 35 days post-insemination if you do the herd health visits every 2 weeks. It is also important to do a second confirmation after 60 days post-insemination due to the embryonic mortality risk that can be up to 5 to 10% between 30 and 60 days post-insemination. Here is an example to illustrate the importance of the pregnancy confirmations. Let's say you use the Doppler ultrasound for 100 cows in a herd with a 45% conception risk. As the Doppler has a sensitivity of 100%, you will correctly identify the 45 cows that are pregnant as potentially pregnant. However, as the specificity is of approximately 50%, you will also identify 28 non-pregnant cows as potentially pregnant. At day 21 post-insemination, you will consequently identify 73 of the 100 examined cows as potentially pregnant. Note here that you would also identify 27 non-pregnant cows. As all the cows identified as non-pregnant are indeed non-pregnant, you can immediately take action to inseminate them as soon as possible. We will come back to the actions you need to take after a non-pregnancy diagnosis, so let's continue with the importance of the pregnancy diagnosis at 35 days post-insemination. Due to the low specificity of the Doppler ultrasound, there are 28 non-pregnant cows that were identified as potentially pregnant. Moreover, there is usually approximately 15 to 20% of embryonic mortality between 21 and 35 days post-insemination, which could add up to 8 non-pregnant cows to the count. Therefore, the pregnancy diagnosis at day 35 post-insemination allows the identification of 36 non-pregnant cows for which you can take action to ensure they will be re-inseminated quickly. If you don't confirm the diagnoses then, you lose the benefits of identifying some of the non-pregnant cows early with the Doppler ultrasound. Similarly, confirming pregnancy 60 days after the insemination would allow you to identify the cows that had an embryonic or fetal mortality. This can be up to 10% of the cows in this period, which is 4 cows in our example. Finally, using the Doppler ultrasound will not have an impact on the insemination rate if no action is taken after the 27 non-pregnancy diagnoses are made 21 days after insemination. Multiple options are available to you according to the management already in place on the farm. If a cow is identified as non-pregnant with the Doppler ultrasound, you can identify it as likely to come back in heat, take action according to the structures observed on the ovaries, or start a synchronization protocol. In summary, the Doppler ultrasound allows the identification of a proportion of the non-pregnant cows 9 days earlier than with traditional methods. But it is essential to take action when this diagnosis is made to re-inseminate these cows quickly.